No.
I just got last one for today.
Oh, is that a different computer than this? Than what you use to type notes? That's why I brought this, so that...
We have one person on the phone. Is that Kim? Kim? No. Might be calling Susan. They're on their way. Kim, how you just calling in? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Who's on the phone?
Hi, it's Susan and Paul. We got stuck in traffic, but we're on our way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Will the background music go away? Everything will go away.
It's from a summary.
Sounds like it. But I don't want to be in the room that's giving up the air and taking in the water.
Yeah, you should.
I can see it my place.
Well, isn't this hooked up to the county?
I don't know. It wasn't this morning, but I guess now it is.
Hooked up to the Wi-Fi one. The library one.
My cousin's memorial service.
Oh.
And I can tell that my flight from Santa Rosa to Seattle moved relatively on time, but then Seattle to Montana. People can learn where my cousin's memorial service is.
Today?
Yeah, my flight's at like 6 out of Santa Rosa.
I was going to say, are you coming on our county hiking club?
I saw it.
Well, there's first and third Thursday, so you can come next Friday.
Okay, and then I saw the invite.
It'll be all about the wellness.
Where do you hike?
We're doing a low gap today. We have this like wellness program where you earn points towards your
Do you
healthcare
get
stuff.
incentivized financially?
To be healthy. County money.
Exactly.
Everyone's healthy.
How many people hiking?
This is the inaugural hiking club.
Oh.
So I hope it has a good turnout.
I do too.
I will be at the third one because last time I had to go my son. I think when the weather gets not as hot, like in October, we should do Mill Creek. Slightly too many mosquitoes right now, but
You know,
just like a month and a half will be nice.
I'd rather hike in the rain than in the extra shade.
At least Mill Creek's shaded all the way up. It's just a lot of mosquitoes at the pond.
Yeah.
I'm hoping people remember that we changed the time.
I had to double check. I was not expecting 2:30. I kind of, glazed over the time, and then I wouldn't be here till 3:30 had I not checked.
Mhm.
Does that mean we have 2 new people?
So there's another one joined, right?
Yeah, one more person.
Kim, is that you? Did you join?
It's Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hey.
Hi, Hannah.
Is that just 15 points again?
Yeah.
Hi, Julia.
Howdy.
The agenda and stuff are right over there.
Thank you kindly.
Honey, I came with you, and now we're both late. We were here a half an hour early.
Nice haircut, Dandy.
I was gonna say, it landed 20 minutes early, and now it's like saying it's gonna be 20 minutes late.
Very slow taxi.
Santa Rosa? I can understand Seattle.
Do I need to go out? Anything, did you ever do another edition or not? I did. Well, not of this. Oh, unfortunately, no. Okay. I got lost in transferability.
Right. Now, and I never saw that document.
I think it's going to the,
Just, it was
No, I
going
know,
to
but
the
Mo was gonna
subcommittee,
go and
and
email
as
it.
soon as Stuart, I know, is making comment.
I think we're pretty
I
much
think we're
there.
pretty much, I hope we're pretty much there too.
Yeah. Hopefully, doesn't do anything too wild.
Is Stuart gonna commit to the time?
Probably not.
Well, I spoke to him on the telephone this morning,
Good.
and he was up to his eyeballs, things you have told him he must do. But he was gonna stop then and put in his 2 cents on the language. So, we'll see.
And do we want to start doing? Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Getting ready for your trip?
I am so not ready, but I am so ready. I just like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be
3 weeks? Longer?
3.5 weeks. Yeah,
What a dream vacation.
yeah. It's gonna be a little more hectic than I would normally like, but it'll be good.
More moving from place to place.
Yeah, and part of it's because of my family and, you know,
I think so.
You're
complicated.
both lucky
Augie
that you
and
can
Josh.
trip as often as you do.
Yeah.
You know, for you and for
sure.
them.
Oh, yeah. It's not as often as I'd like, but it's still, it's good. And then it's like
Let's open my starting. Mendo time. Okay.
Part of the thing is, okay, I do smaller little trips, which
James
I
from Flow Connor joining.
think been helpful, you know.
James, is that you?
Yes, indeed. Good
Fine.
afternoon.
Who else?
Stewart is on the call.
James, Stuart, Karen, and hi, Kim. Hi. And Paul. Long time no see. I know, right?
I didn't think I was gonna get there. I was surprised every time someone came on the phone and said, Kim's stuck in there. I left Hopland with the architect.
My tenant.
Now I'm here.
Moved into my house, and took care of my cat, and took care of my home, and, you know, it's like,
I have no idea when we're,
so it's
my brain is.
isn't that funny, we were both like, I know, just conversations in the hall.
Do you need if I need? No. Sorry, guys. There's water if you need some. I got my drink too.
Makes sense.
Went to the box shop.
Thank you.
Good to get to.
Yeah, so, thank you everyone for coming. We're gonna get started. So first I'll start with quick introductions. We have Amanda.
Hi.
We have Sarah.
Hello, everyone.
We have Sandy from Planning and Building. Let's start with, who do we have on the phone? We have, I think,
James from Fulcana.
James.
Stuart, you're there.
Stewart's here.
Karen Byers. And Paul and Susan.
Listening in, coming into Hopland.
And we have Julia.
Julia Career and Associates. Glad everyone's here.
Corinne?
Hannah,
Jude?
Kim.
Awesome. So today is really just to I'm hoping finalize the documents that we have so that we can go to the board. So for those that are here, we do have a tentatively final document, 15 points that would be brought and presented to the Board of Supervisors. When we had originally planned it, it was Hannah, Karen Byers, and Corinne that were elected to present to the board. So I was wondering if that is still acceptable to people. Got one thumbs up so far.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You all are welcome there.
September,
right? September 17th. And if it gets moved up or something, I'll let you guys know.
And
As
Karen.
long as it's not in August.
I don't think it will be. We're pretty packed.
So it's you two, and who else was the third person?
Karen.
Karen, okay.
Yes.
This is Corinne, and I would like to apologize to everyone that I did not write as I volunteered language. Didn't happen. Sorry, but I have some ideas to discuss today.
Okay. So then, do we want to go through these points then? Just make sure what we have on the list is good to everyone. I added what details we went over last time. And then I would like to note that some of these are a bit more general because it will be presented to the board, so you guys will be, those that are presenting will kind of add those details if necessary and if questioned.
Sure.
So going down the list, we have item 1 is to expand the zoning allowance. This would include allowing rural residential or processing within rural residential, manufacturing non-volatile within limited commercial, distribution allowed in agricultural, limited commercial, and rural residential. Another note was that acreage requirements for less residential areas would become would be based on acreage as to whether allowed in a certain zone or not.
And Vandy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to remind everybody that they understand that these are, aside from what's already allowed as an accessory use to cultivation. This is separate. I just want to remind everybody so that if they see these things, they think, oh, but what about...
So rather than going through them all, can we go one at a time and ask questions?
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great, because otherwise my little pea brain will keep out.
Are there questions on the first item then?
Yeah.
Funny you
What does
said.
limited mean?
So there's, with regards to
On the second
commercial
item.
and general, regards to industrial and commercial zoning, there are 2 levels. There's limited and there's general. Limited is limited. It only allows for certain uses. So for example, a gas station is really only permitted in general industrial. And I think it's not...
There's C1 and C2 normally.
They're not on the
Not on the
coast is just industrial, which we found out there are 5 parcels industrial on the coast. And then commercial is just...
Well, so you're saying both for industrial and for commercial, there are these 2 levels. So limited commercial for, say, manufacturing level 1 non-volatile, that's already limited. It's level 1 non-volatile. So there's
No. So limited is the type of zoning. It's not
C1,
limiting the
C2.
activity.
okay.
C1 is limited and C2 is
General.
limited, general commercial. That's a zoning type inland.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
and
not
the-
referring to the activity.
so on the coast it's
Not
limited
applicable.
commercial.
No, not
It
applicable.
doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Were there any other questions for item?
Can I ask, you weren't at the meeting this morning, you were. I felt like, oh no, we're gonna have finalized all this stuff and all these ideas from everyone. We're gonna change this stuff again?
Well,
Because all these people want to always be morning in that meeting, and it's like, manufacturing.
I don't think so. Well, a lot of this stuff is cleanup. We haven't really touched the facilities ordinance since it all began.
Ages ago, yeah.
And if you look at all the other states and counties, these regulations are going to be changed. 7 years.
Okay, so I'm not gonna, after this morning, like, everything we're doing like now, is it gonna change? But no, okay, good.
We should call this like,
Version 2.0?
well, I just want to use the word phase because that connotates something else, but more like, step one,
But also, I think be presenting what we think is appropriate and not be waiting for something else to happen.
Agreed. And that actually gets to something that we had discussed last time, or at least I brought up last time, which is, and at that first economic development meeting as well, which is, I really feel like we need to, in addition to recommending specific ordinance changes that this is that we also need to recommend that work begin on some of the other 2 months that will take longer, which are zoning code changes and then general plan updates, and that those things shouldn't wait to be at least directed by the board on the list of things to work on.
Right.
Because it's going to take a while before staff has the time to start really delving into it anyway, and if we don't make it as part of our recommendation that there's 3 chunks of work here, the immediate ordinances plus future ordinance changes that need to be made, there's zoning code updates that should start to be looked at, and there's the general plan update, which is an evil word, I understand, but if you don't start looking at those, that's already happening also.
I know,
So,
it's just,
so as opposed to adding it as 3 separate items, would we just want to make it kind of a statement at the end of our thing?
Yes, but I think it needs to be a strong statement that we recommend that the board specifically direct staff to start looking at what might be necessary in terms of zoning code changes and in terms of general plan updates, especially as the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee continues its work, so that by the time they're done, we don't have to wait a year for staff to start. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's get that language. Let's start looking at language at the end. I would like to know that I give it 3:45.
Let's go. Sorry about that deviation. Light, where are you going?
A memorial.
Sorry.
It's going to Montana.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's my old age.
So then item 2, remove church from census assessors, easy.
Is that state also?
Yep.
We're the only,
It's already out of the state.
I've never had church in the state.
item 3, incorporate event language to the county code, chapter 20.243. Again, this would be just a simple statement, making sure that events are 600 feet or whatever the setback. And then this should include updates to the temporary event section, which is chapter 20.168, provide an expanded allowance for events, all things in general. So that's really where the use permit or administrative permit process would come in. Any questions on that one?
Nope.
So item 4 is Canada tourism, such as bed and breakfast, farm tours, farmers markets, and street fairs. And this needs to ensure the involvement of environmental health to regulate the event.
I have a question. On this one, are we going to, is there more specific requests that we're going to make, like, for example, ask that the Director of Environmental Health provide a report on necessary prerequisites or concerns that need to be addressed? I'm concerned about each item having kind of additional specific action items, so it's not just, oh, this is our general recommendation, but then we don't wind up getting the board, because we recognize that the board has to direct everybody to do something in order for it to move to the next step. And I'm concerned that each item we lock in that next step if the board chooses to accept our recommendation.
And I'm not really sure out of all of these how much involvement we would have. So I think for all of these, we may be able to just say yes, but with very little regulation. And farmers markets obviously have environmental health involved or things like that. But like in terms of like bed and breakfast, I see it's like pretty much nothing to do with it. Right. Just saying, yeah, this can happen. Same with farm tours.
Mm-hmm. So I guess whatever follow-up is necessary, that we understand what that next thing is.
So that's where I'm confused on the environmental health, exactly what.
Separate from the ordinance. This is for the ordinance.
What are they looking into?
What you're talking about is separate from the ordinance.
But to include language that would say,
it says
as
this
per the
needs
guidelines provided by.
Okay, so what I'm bringing up is because the second sentence says this needs to ensure involvement of environmental health to regulate some of these avenues. All I'm suggesting is that if environmental health has specific things that are outside the norm of what they normally regulate or specific to cannabis, that we get that from them so that we can, they don't have a lot of experience with integrating with the cannabis regulation.
Nobody does. Can we take it separate and out? Can we just take that out? Why does it have to?
Well, I was going to propose, do we want to have this be general points and then 3 presenters present it?
Or maybe like include participation from county departments that are involved in the regulating these industries.
Yeah,
which could include environmental health.
Not limited to.
Not limited to.
So I guess what I guess maybe, and this is perhaps the difference, is some of this is very specific, like, okay, it's easy to remove the word church.
Mm-hmm.
Others are a little bit more, like with number 3, we already understand what that language is going to be, so it's literally taking the words and changing it. The number 4 seems like it's not quite as figured out yet what that would be, and so it seems to me that it might require several steps. Maybe not, and that would be
sure. I think the first step is, I think, if that direction given, is really a look at, does the county need to regulate these things, first of all, and then if so, in what manner? I think there are, I would say there are areas where we don't have to regulate it.
Right. Does the county need to regulate it differently?
Or how do we need to make it inclusive so it's understood you can do that, and if there's a role for the county?
Exactly.
The direction for this, I think it's going to take a little bit research on
what needs to be regulated and what doesn't. Like, maybe it doesn't.
So, and I guess that's my question is, does it require the board to direct staff to do that research? And if so...
I mean, I would not think so, because if thing really is directed to, for example, the Oak Woodlands ordinance, all I said was to make one.
Right.
So I've been spending the past 6 months doing research to figure it out. So I don't think it's the research the issue. I think it's, like, for example, the Oak Woodlands ordinance, I don't know what they want.
Right.
So I'm generally writing.
So it's about asking the specific question, do you want to regulate this just in the manner that we regulate everything else in this category, not specific to cannabis?
Yeah, like will we regulate a bed and breakfast different than we regulate a bed and breakfast? I would.
Yeah.
Well,
champagne.
This came up before years ago, specifically when Dave Jensen was still around, and what he said was and then it came up again when Trey took over. And both of them said, well, because if Bed and Breakfast is offering an ingestible item, then no, we would want to have something, but want to look at that. And then it sat on the top.
But I don't really. So Dave's obviously not here, but I think there's I don't see them doing anything outside of what they would normally do for any other.
John McCowan a month ago with very, very, very detailed private property, how somebody runs their bed and breakfast is not the county's business.
And to me, the interaction is, if there's any, does the county have to get involved if there's spelled? And really, that's really looking at, do they have a it's really looking at this interaction between the state And because typically we really,
Well, that's not gonna happen, because a bed and breakfast, in order to have a retail license, you have to go through so much.
and I'm assuming they're not going to. I'm assuming they're gonna go
It's a
buy
false
and then offer it like wine, like normal.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. So I was just saying that it is so standardized already in the cannabis market that all product that would be at the BB&B or had already gone through testing and, you know, all of the station.
Yeah, because they're gonna buy it from a retail outlet, so it's at the end line.
Like a no-brainer kind of, because they've already done all that.
Can I pick it out?
My point has always been, if we can arrive at some definitive language that eliminates ambiguity,
Exactly.
that's what we need.
And I think if this is a recommendation that's given, you can get the direction staff and say, yeah, we don't have a problem, like, yeah, there's not, like, the distinction of like, we don't regulate this, or hey, that's totally kosher. Like,
So maybe we can modify that second sentence to say, either take it out or just say, you know, incorporate cannatourism with input from appropriate departments.
What's that? Probably people want to take it out.
Take it out.
Take it out.
Take it out.
Okay.
Unless you feel like it's important to leave in another.
I would say it's not a bad idea, incorporate cannatourism, into, you know, I maybe would wordsmith it. I think it's important to say, we want you to make sure that this is a part of, like, the vision and the movement of the county, and I think that's going to take a look at really what's appropriate for us to regulate, and then is there a way we clear up ambiguity of, like, oh, well.
But couldn't that be at the beginning of the presentation, because doesn't that apply to everything?
Exactly. If you're going to have an event, you're going to have to go through A, B, C, and D with the whole cannabis.
Well, the presentation should really address that, I think.
What if we changed it? What if we changed it to specifically incorporate cannatourism and remove the second?
So add specifically in the beginning?
Sure.
Everyone okay with it?
Yeah, I think a general framework sentence is in order for the presenters.
I agree.
And that's going to cover general concern that we're all expressing. In a general way, you know.
I agree.
So then, it sounds like we are good with item 4 then?
Yep.
We're striking the second sentence, and we're adding specifically.
To the beginning?
Yes, specifically incorporate cannatourism, period.
Yes.
And we're making sure that the presenters are going to do an
intro.
Yeah, an intro. Cover all of it.
Get
So
out.
that's item 5,
Right in the
in all county code.
Wait, Karen, did you say something?
Did somebody say something?
Did someone say something?
You guys need to use your phone.
No. Karen.
There was a no.
Oh, no.
I think they're all
So then item
underwater.
5, between all county code cannabis, the state regulations and requirements, except for the item 6 below, just in particular should be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Number 6, decrease sensitive receptor setback requirements to at least 200 feet or possibly more. We're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that works for the state, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one thing we're allowed to do our own.
We're okay.
7, potential use of administrative permit instead of use permit to save time and cost. Administrative permit would allow for faster development of cannabis-oriented businesses and not require a public hearing unless necessary.
I have a comment.
Yes.
So this is kind of a floating thing to me. You know how Hannah requests specifically incorporate?
Yes.
Maybe examine potential use of, or something like that. Put a word in front of that so it's not so...
General.
Yeah. Explore, whatever.
I want something more concrete than that even.
Okay.
I would say
Agree to.
use or use administrative permits instead of use
So
permits.
the takeout potential.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Uh-huh.
Is that okay?
Yeah, better.
Good.
Oh, we're so fast.
We're good.
Don't say that.
None of us have time. None of us have
So
time.
8, incorporate shared use facilities, manufacturing similar to the incorporated into the proposed coastal cannabis facilities.
Document this morning.
Yes, and
Do you want to include
I would
urban
actually,
manufacturing?
the only other thing that I would say,
Yeah,
process
Everything.
shared facilities.
Instead of just manufacturing.
Yeah.
What about
All types of shared facilities.
Yeah,
in the
all
shared
shared facilities.
But I would,
You could even say similar to those incorporated into
Yeah.
manufacturing in the
right,
commercial cannabis facilities, to
Yes.
give an example.
Or just, you don't even have to put the word manufacturing, because you're still limiting it, right?
Well, no, that would be part of the example, they specifically included as shared.
the only other thing I would suggest here is that we consider asking them to fast track.
So let's end the sentence with facilities, so then fast track shared use facilities.
Down
We could do
Fast
fast track incorporating shared use facilities.
Yeah,
Because they're already allowed by the
fast track
state.
incorporating.
Do we need to even
track.
have incorporating, just fast track shared use facilities for manufacturers?
Or allowance of.
Can we add more things in instead of just manufacturing?
We're gonna take
Yeah,
out.
yeah, we took out manufacturing. Kim, we're,
Microbusiness and processing and all that, like this morning or this afternoon, we had a group that specifically, the whole thing was about these shared use, like
right,
innovation.
we're
Yeah.
removing manufacturing so it applies to everything.
Good, because also,
Hold on, does it really, because we're saying shared use facilities, what about the facilities that aren't shared?
like innovation.
Well, this is just, this particular one.
If you want to spell it out
Okay,
and say,
Or maybe all of them, yeah. All right, is that what
I think
you're
it's
saying?
all facilities.
yeah, I was gonna say like,
Manufacturing, processing, this thing, that, whatever.
Microbusiness.
Yeah.
All,
Yeah, we can do that.
Covered with the coastal
Yeah,
cannabis facility.
spell it out.
like if
Okay.
you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that some can be fast-tracked and some cannot be.
Well, so are we talking about shared use as defined by the state? Because right now, they only have manufacturing.
Right, but what we're suggesting is that we not only do fast-track the shared use that exists, but create those that don't yet exist so that,
Preparation for the state.
and also to use as a way to lobby the state to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's,
So,
That can
Right,
be,
so
that can be
two levels.
too.
what I have is fast track incorporating shared use facilities. Are we taking out the incorporating?
That didn't sound very great.
I think just fast track.
Tracking, or fast track shared use
yeah,
facilities?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
And then maybe what we could do, if we're, in the next sentence, say, I wonder if we want to distinguish between the manufacturing versus everything else. If it would slow manufacturing down, because there is already a state template for the shared use facilities with manufacturing, but there isn't for these other categories. I'm
Should that
sure
be more
staff
for
knows
the-
that if they get an application.
And should we incorporate that more into the
Comment.
presentation?
Sure.
yeah, yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
One of the things about a shared use facility and also what we're also talking about here implied is that I don't see it on the page, multiple license in by.
Oh,
so
right,
the
yeah.
question of we are not consistent in the county with the state's allowance for distribution to do certain kind of processing. They can't do general processing, but they can do pre-rolls. That's explicitly in the state language.
So-
I've got the language here.
Would that not fit more under consistency between county code and state regulations?
Yeah.
And that can be incorporated into the presentation?
Okay, yeah, that should be, and I can.
And did we have
Got
a
the
list, the specific list of what all those inconsistencies were or not?
I have sticky notes.
Can you snap a photo of your sticky notes and email them to us?
I've got two of
Eventually,
Well,
yes.
we're very familiar with
Okay.
the definition.
Okay, but that's
familiar on the-
I'll make a note of, in particular, the pre-roll thing, that's under
It's
distributors.
State Reg 5303
Yeah,
that specifically
but-
allows
wait, wait,
Okay.
distributors to do,
distribution
right,
to
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah,
pre-roll
yeah, yeah.
activity.
And you might be able to do that right now, depending on where your distribution is.
Why, where? Why, where?
No, like, but if your distribution is in the same zone, processing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Okay, anyway,
So then item 8 sounds good then?
item 8 is good, and we'll do the specific on comment.
Taking out manufacturing, adding whatever.
Fast track.
So,
Craig.
item 9, allow for home occupation style and cottage industry style permits without residential requirements. This would apply to home manufacturing as well as micro businesses, correct?
Okay. I think it's nuts to tie micro-business to a home-based industry of any kind and then say, but you don't have to have a home. I think that's absolutely nuts.
No, so what we're going to do is take the regulations of home occ and cottage, which is, customer limits, structure size.
Let's just
Let him finish for
well,
just a second. I want to hear the rest of your sentence.
I think I ended it.
Oh,
I thought it did too.
I'm sorry.
Why don't we just define under our county's micro-business license how we want
If we can get through that.
to constrain it, if that's the purpose?
Well, that's what I
know, but let's just decide in this group, those of us who are waiting impatiently for an avenue toward micro-business, why don't we, who are involved, set some parameters and see if they can be supported? For example, if the cottage and the home occupation have a square footage limit, and that's something that is appealing to staff about those designations, let's see what we think is appropriate for size limitation. Let's see what we think is appropriate for employee numbers. And then write the licensure that way, instead of tying it to something that is no longer really appropriate. It's not like people need to have a home, that's absolutely true, to do a micro-business. But it shouldn't be tied to something that's described as home and cottage, because that's not appropriate either.
We've been taking those out, and we would be using regulations from the cottage industry.
But maybe they're not appropriate either, that's my point. Well, I know you want constraints, but let's discuss them in a way that are appropriate for the functions of a cannabis micro-business.
So essentially you want the planner for each individual project to determine what those limits are?
No, I want it in the ordinance.
I'm confused.
Okay, I can be a translator.
Let me say it again, okay? Let's create a definition of a micro-business permit that includes the size, volume, employee numbers, parameters that are appropriate for a cannabis micro-business license. They're different from candle making, they're different from veggies, they're different.
Right.
And if we in this group, who are very familiar with the requirements from the cannabis side, I think we can come to a really workable solution as opposed to what we've been struggling with.
So would you want to determine that today, though, or
do you want that
in the presentation? Where do you want us to incorporate that? Because if we need to make language for that, we're going to have to postpone the board.
Oh, no. Come on, that can't be true.
I mean, I have to have documents to them next week for September 17th.
So.
And I'm not here Monday.
Wait, I have a suggestion. So, or a question for you in order to be able to see whether my suggestion will work.
Okay.
Does the zoning matter in terms of needing to stick to the equivalent limits, or could we make other limits than these corollary?
So,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
So
600 feet and 1,000 feet, 0 to 1 to, right. Does that matter in terms?
Right now, the way home lock and cottage exists would be, they're tied to cultivation, so those regulations are rubber stamped across every zoning. So what?
But that's if there's cultivation, but we're talking about this is for micro businesses.
Right. So
requires cultivation.
but then
right.
But then so are you proposing that each? So we have the micro business with the caveats of different restrictions. Do you want those restrictions zoning dependent?
No.
I don't want it. What I was asking, because what Corinne, I believe, is getting at is that the 600 square feet and limit of 0 to 1 employees, or the 1,000 square feet and up to
2,003 employees.
Okay,
yes.
2,003. Okay, that that might, she wants to examine whether those are the appropriate restrictions. And what I was asking, because if it's required as a result of bootstrapping onto the zoning stuff, that we stick to something like that in order to get around the fact that this is allowed in zones that are otherwise not allowing that activity.
So let Corinne talk for herself.
So,
but first I'm trying to understand whether there's a possibility to do. Yeah.
Well, if I understand what you're asking, currently microbusinesses are not, zoning doesn't really play a role in that.
So those restrictions are up for grabs.
When I review a microbusiness, one of the first things I look at is the size of the structure they're using.
Right, so that's one of the things that are the 600 versus the 2,000. And so the question is, could we change those to different amounts and it still be okay with how we bootstrapped the applicability of microbusinesses in different zoning?
So if I understand your question, if we're making independent regulations for microbusiness, yes, we can determine those.
Perfect.
Can I meet with you as soon as you get back and discuss those potentialities?
Would we want to, I mean, yes, but would we want it to be a bigger group so that we have?
And then I will volunteer to communicate with the group if we have a time frame.
What day do we need stuff to Carla for September?
I have to look, but we have some time.
Okay.
We can, so we have two options. We can frame some general statement saying we essentially want a kind of like microbusiness only category, or do you want to give the specifics?
I want to be specific, and I know these guys have done a ton of work.
No, I think we can do it without pushing back, but there has to be people that, like, we will have to have a document by the beginning of September.
We're going to get there.
Okay.
All right. I don't know how many people here have read this document.
What is it? Can't see what you're...
Cottage microbusiness license, and there's a presentation.
State or...
This is yours, right?
This is mine.
Okay.
All right, the cottage microbusiness license, this is a brand new license, the BCC. Microbusiness is already sailed, but they do have the authority to create a new license. Regulatorily, the regulators have not gone down that road, so it needs to be legislated, that they need to be told that they need to do this. This is a very comprehensive, it's based, the bones are from the home occupation and cottage industry, but it goes further than that. It goes into volumes, it goes into specifics. There is interest right now, and I can send this to anyone.
Why don't you send it to the group?
Okay, I thought that Vandy did send it.
We did.
I send it to Sarah.
No, it went out.
It went out to the group.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the presentation. We have language here that was delivered on February 19th from Legislative Counsel through Assemblymember Wood's office, which is this, so that it's so there's some things we're taking out because some of the things that we put in here would have to go back to the voters. So this is a majority vote bill that's ready to go. As of this past week, we have interest in an author for this.
Great.
Now wait, the author that's interested in it right now thinks that it might, because of it's so that you would have objections and opposition from other parts of the state. So what they're proposing, and what I would love to advocate, what they're proposing is they do it as a pilot program for a specific area, meaning Mendocino County.
Yes.
So we're in
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we're in contact now with Assemblymember Wood's office, with Senator McGuire's office, along with Senator Galgiani, who's the person who would pick this up and run with it, to have them to see if they want to co-author it. I would think that it's a very short stretch for Assemblymember Wood, since this language here went through his office. So this here in the presentation is a little bit easier to understand than going through all this legalese. There are some things that are in here that are not in here. The taxation piece that's in the presentation was taken out because the taxation would have to go back to the voters, and we wanted to make it as a simple majority bill instead of a 2/3, or send it back to the voter. The only reason this was not authored and put through this session is we were working with Legislative Council from October of last year until February 19th. That's the date on this when we finally got the final draft. February 22nd is the last day to introduce new legislation, and everybody's card was full. We couldn't find an author in 3 days. So, but this is all ready to go. It would have to be go through Leg Council again and amended somewhat, because they have to have current legislation. But the heavy lifting has already been done here. This is an outline of introduction and an outline of as to what it entails. We've taken specifics, metrics from the SORIAs. The SORIA is the standardized initial regulatory impact reports that were put together by a bunch of PhDs by the BCC, that was sent out by the BCC, the DPH, and CDFA. So we took their statistics to put these things together as it relates to volume. Okay? So, and then square footage and volume, and then there's an appendix in the back of the presentation that references where we got those quantities to give you the volume that we're talking about. So,
if I can interject this, because we have very limited time today.
Understood.
Is that something that we can provide to everyone to give a look over, and then when we do meet about what things we want in that, we can do that?
Absolutely, and I'll go one step further, is that if instead of a regular meeting, if anyone wants to talk with us about this and have suggestions or comments or clarifications or questions, please.
Do like a cottage ad hoc.
I thought it was already done, but absolutely.
Okay, that would be really helpful. And if you did do it,
Reply all to that email.
There's 50 people and I get a few bounce back, but okay.
It sounds like there's no meeting here afterwards, so if people would like to stay and remain until 5, that's what people need to vacate, you could converse about what those
we have another
limits and stuff.
So Vandy, there are several other meetings, unfortunately, happening right after this. But speaking to Corinne's comment earlier in the meeting about eliminating ambiguity, this will enable us to eliminate ambiguity, and it's extremely important we do that because when we leave it open to interpretation, we've all experienced what happens.
However, by the same token, you still want to have a little bit of latitude to allow for site-specific exceptions. So going by the letter of the law for circumstances that don't really apply or these isn't really necessary. For instance, let's just say you've got a greenhouse that needs a HEPA filter for odor control, but it's in the middle of a 300-acre parcel, so it's not required. So these sort of things, these sort of exceptions need to be able to be common sense.
Let's kind of table item 9 to have people review this information, and then we'll come back and finalize item 9.
Okay.
Hannah?
Yeah, I'm actually going to suggest that we do something else, and because I think this is really important to incorporate, but I don't want to see our ordinance work be held up, I would suggest that we just remove your bullet point that refers to the home occ and cottage industry and leave it as that general statement. Then we can schedule, because between now and when we're presenting this, we can have time to talk about some specifics and potentially agree on it. And we have the topic being brought forward, the concept of without residential requirements. But then in the meantime, because you guys have to provide a document.
Here's the thing, I think if we can get some idea of what you guys want, we need it on the 17th. Because coming back and having these meetings isn't going to work. I have 3 tracks for cultivation. We got to get this track on. We have a long list that we have to focus on and get through in the next 12 months.
Right.
So I think we might not be able to go in the details, but I think we have to come up with some type of statements, some type of bullet points, and then, if they say, yes, this is the direction, we can have the more one-on-one meetings and kind of refine that. But I think we need to get the general framework or a few bullet points around microbusiness of what we expect in here, because I'm hoping that whatever they say yes to, we have to then, slot it in.
Right. When would be your drop dead to get those specifics?
3 weeks before the 16th, or
At least.
16 days before the 16th?
So we publish on the 12th.
You need,
Probably need by like August, I don't have the date on me, but it's probably like August 26th. Like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and it's always due on Mondays, right?
I'm so glad you're on this situation.
Give it a second.
So,
That seems like an eternity based on recent deadlines.
yeah, so I would say we probably want to have something that's before the Labor Day weekend.
So what date would you like those bullet points?
26.
Well, this group has to figure that out, and I would say that we probably should shoot no later than the 29th. People are going to drop like flies after that.
yeah.
So we should backdate from our meetings in
So
consideration.
let's keep going on this, and then as soon as we're done with this, we can go and try and figure
Figure this
out
out, yeah.
other meetings that don't necessarily involve you guys, but that the rest of us can talk about your thing, although I'm going to be gone, but you all
But
can.
I think that would be key, if like we just get like some general statement and a few bullet points of this is how we want to see microbusiness
Yeah.
roll out.
Yeah.
And then you can make in the recommendation, that, working with the industry on, further refining these
Yeah.
points or something
Yeah.
like that.
And
I'm just afraid that if we separate this out
Or
and then we keep
language.
going on and just work on microbusiness, it's,
I agree, or what about just language?
if you can pull off language, pull off language. We got 4 weeks.
I mean, language is always best received, because then somebody can work off of that at a government level.
Okay, we only have Vandy for 10 more minutes.
let's go. Number 10.
30 minutes. Okay,
We
go.
want to- So 10,
345.
ethanol and
345.
non-volatile definitions,
Yes.
mirroring,
Yep.
whatever, item 5.
Yep.
And then 11, tiered systems for processing license based on revenues or amount processed. Cool.
Devil will be in those details, but what the tiers is.
Tiered system for distribution license based on amount distributed or fleet size.
So the fleet size part is a little bit weird, but
Why?
what, Corinne has her hand up.
Question.
I don't think it is.
So, I don't know who in the county set the facilities taxes at a flat rate.
The voters of Mendocino County.
Is that where it came from?
Well,
Proposed to them.
if you go back in time, the ordinance that went before the board completely got gutted and changed during that 5-hour meeting, and then went to the voter approved it. They have to take a vote to undo it.
But is the language that all facilities licenses will only pay a flat tax, is that in what went to the voters?
Yes.
Specifically?
Yes.
Specifically, manufacturing and distribution and processing are all flat.
Yes, I know that they are, and it seems grossly unfair.
That's a tax.
I know, but anyway, I'm just asking that. But,
It can be unchanged, just that's because the voters.
so in the tiered system that we're talking about, we're talking about license fees then potentially being different as tiers increase in revenues and volume of processed product or distributed product with lots of vans? What is the tiering going to be in this sense?
I don't think
If
we
it's not
really
taxes.
need tiering here. The barrier entry is pretty low. I think the state for sure needs tiering.
Yeah.
The state has tax tiering.
I thought that this
No.
really
I
was
know.
Pay
getting at,
$2,500 and $60 for a business license.
I know, I'm sorry, but to me that's, compared to what you do to the cultivators, it's bad news, very bad.
I think that what this was originally trying to get at, and maybe I'm misremembering, was that certain sizes, particularly of number of vehicles and whatnot, would require additional level of scrutiny if you're in a situation where you need an administrative permit or a use permit. Is that correct?
But that's not
I'll
what
be
it
honest,
says.
since I don't work in the tax collector's office.
No, I'm not talking about taxes, I'm just talking about the tiered system.
So what I think the conversation was around,
Yeah.
I actually was not aware that the flat rate tax couldn't be.
I'm not talking about tax, yes.
I think the conversation was that the flat rate would go away for a tiered system, but now learning that, I'm not sure if
You
these-
can tax less, you can't tax more without the voter.
But you can charge different fees.
So the
at different
conversation
levels.
So I
around.
think
What
that,
did you just say?
You can tax
Less,
less,
you
but
can't
yeah.
tax more.
Well, we can do that.
Without the
Tax
voters.
less.
Oh,
It's prescribed.
so then the
Yeah.
2,500 would be the highest tier,
Yes,
is what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think
So do we
that
wanna
that's
keep
the
that?
recommendation, is to consider
A tiered tax system.
lowering
Fee system.
the,
Yes.
Tax.
legally allowable maneuver.
not gonna
which
tier
is
$60 fee.
lowering the tax system
Ridiculous.
for a lower tier level.
Right.
And that's the way to.
So should I be incorporating
Let's
tiered
paint everybody's
fee?
fingernails sparkly,
system?
maybe they'll all get it.
Fee and tax.
Okay.
Can you have a higher, can you change the fees and not go to the voters?
Yeah, but your fee is $60.
No, I'm just saying like.
For the
if you
bigger
want to
people.
charge a larger distributor more money
No.
than a smaller.
So, okay, so when there's two types of models of fees. County of Mendocino is a general law county, which means we do fee recovery. So we cannot charge 1 cent more than it takes us to do.
Right.
Now, if you go to the people, you can do what you call a generating fee. So you'll see this in cities, and so they charge you like a business license or a fee based on the amount of income you bring in.
We like
So
that.
that's very typical in cities.
Yeah.
That requires going to the voters and getting that approved.
Yeah.
But right now, the
that's
county of Mendocino
that's
cannot
on that
charge you
too.
1 penny more than what it takes for it to recoup it, and we are not a cost recovery county, so we subsidize everything. And we can bring that to the vote next.
I love that very much.
We don't have a lot of
This
time.
item,
And talk to me about the $135 environmental health fee for a shipping container. It didn't cost them that much to do that.
Of course not.
so, but for purposes of this item,
Incorporate fee and tax between tiers
Union.
is what I'm hearing.
but specifically
Lowering.
mentioning low, because the only way.
15 is
Well,
really
I think
important,
that
everyone.
becomes inherent because we can't
Right.
hire.
But we can say that we know.
For the benefit of the new supervisors, I think it would help to spell it out that the law allows to lower.
They know, and they said, what I would do is if you want to have a tiered system towards your taxes or your fees, just put it in there.
Okay.
They're very aware what they can and cannot
Okay.
do with the tax.
Awesome,
Jude?
Okay, good.
So where's the tiered system for retail? We have the worst taxes of anybody in the
Oh,
world.
right?
Yeah,
And
5% of gross sales, we have to cough up every 3 months. It is higher than distribution, processing, anybody else. It's crazy.
So maybe we
what's
should
it
just
based on?
combine all
So
of
maybe this,
John
eliminate
McCowan,
all of them and just.
Yeah, just say tiered
Tiered
system
fee
for all
for
facilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
God, it's killing us.
Everybody but you, Jude.
Yeah, everybody but retail. I was like, wait a second.
Okay.
Or people already.
So then,
And reduce cultivation tax.
Always.
Well, the
facilities.
Okay.
I know.
So then, item 14, reinstate compassion programs.
Oh, yes.
Yay.
Thank you.
So we're good with that language then?
Yes.
And then the last one, the Board of Supervisors should lobby the state to change statewide building code requirements and/or definitions to allow for non-volatile manufacturing
Yahoo!
permitted under less stringent code, i.e. not in F1 structures.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing that I would suggest is to change it from the Board of Supervisors to the county, perhaps, because
Or,
it's a.
You know what came up today is combining efforts along with this, because Carmel brought this up, combining efforts with the Emerald Triangle counties to lobby, to share the costs. But
Yeah.
that is exactly what this says, but we don't need to change anything, do we?
And please someone correct me, did the board say we're not dealing with this?
No.
County, was that specifically for Appalachian?
That was specifically for application.
Well, this has nothing,
wanna be
today was
lumped in
economic
as the same.
development, Carmel brought that up for a different reason.
Yeah, this is,
I just want to make sure that it wasn't all
No.
with.
no.
No, just for like, when we
Can we
want
hit
it like this, and we have to
Before you
know that
leave,
we
can we hit,
let it
we're
go.
on that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Are we on
Right.
15?
Yeah, I mean,
Also marketing
I know
that
someone will be like, well.
Yes,
what
we're on
is that?
15, and I suggested changing Board of Supervisors to county, and that's it.
Paul?
I might want to say you might get some pushback from the building department about the F1 structure and commercial. However, if you look at,
No, you won't. They want us to, they want us to lobby it.
The change has to be made at the state level.
Yeah, Brent Schultz was like, yeah.
just to finish my thought,
Okay.
in AB 1616 for home kitchens, they have language in the state level that says that a home kitchen is not a commercial space and doesn't fall under the same regulations. So there's a precedent for that sort of thing for home manufacturing.
Great.
Okay?
Good to know.
Corinne?
Can we sneak into this sentence, in addition to allow non-volatile manufacturing, cultivator processing?
Yes, please do.
What?
Yeah, so in other words, right now, the building department interprets
Oh, I see what you're saying.
processing as requiring an F1
Well,
occupancy.
I'm like, well, the county code doesn't deal with
Yeah,
building
no.
code. And I was like, oh, because we're.
To allow, and what I would say, both processing
Yes.
and non-volatile manufacturing.
Yes.
Should we say farm processing? That what you want?
Cultivation processing, or
Okay.
just, I mean, in other words, the category of processing not related to manufacturing.
Yeah.
Cultivator processing.
Cultivator processing.
I think cultivator processing is the
Yes,
right word.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Cultivator processing.
Exactly.
And if I may be so bold,
Please.
Like,
When haven't you been?
And it's only because you look so snappy.
You're so bold today.
while we're doing this and incorporating this and as it has to do with not an F1 structure and our state architect, we might want to reference the federal ADA compliance laws as opposed to the California interpretation with this home occupation as it relates to ADA compliance, right? The federal law, and it is a federal law, says that if you have less than 15 employees, or if you work less than 20 weeks per year, you need to have reasonable accommodations for your employees. Once you pass that threshold, then you need your full-blown ADA compliant bathroom, then you need your levers, then you need your parking places and all those things. But for small and micro businesses, it's not required under the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. And we need to have that recognized for these small businesses so that they're not having to rent porta potties and have.
Couldn't that be an additional bullet point?
Say what I'm saying.
Yes, so that actually, I think, is an excellent recommendation, but it would be a separate recommendation added on to this, because the current,
I agree, we're all in
code.
another additional bullet point.
Yeah, period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dean,
Yep.
Yeah.
ADA.
Well, no, because we're.
Because it's an actual statute that California legislators adopted.
Yeah, whatever number you.
That made it a separate building
The next
code,
number.
California separate from federal.
Great.
So that it would have to be.
Great suggestion, Paul.
And that's in here, by the way.
Great
Sorry.
suggestion.
Send it, Rachel, this afternoon, I think this is exactly what we were talking about. Is this how he is hamstrung as far as, the definition of commercial business versus any other kind of cottage business? This is what he was telling me today. So if we have this if we're putting this addition onto here, shouldn't we ask him, exactly what he wants us to ask for?
No, we know.
Well, because he's really for allowing it.
So I don't know what the verbiage is.
I do. Okay, so can I
say that?
suggest it?
Catch it, because
I just wrote ADA.
I'll suggest it, and that is
Can I make one
lobby.
devil's advocate statement?
Lobby, let me just finish this statement, and then you can make the devil's advocate. The county should lobby the state to change the California-specific ADA requirements as applied to cottage and micro businesses.
Home occupation
And cottage industries.
And
Then don't we need to defer to the federal?
No.
No.
You have the right to be strict.
Understand
They said to be.
This is, everything changes when public access is granted. Then.
That's correct.
No starter, all right?
So-
Not asking for that. It's
Right.
just for fewer employees or no employees.
No employees.
And no public access.
Right.
Once public access.
For cottage industries, and home occupation and cottage industries without employees or public access.
Just say without public access.
Without public access.
Less than
Yeah.
15 employees.
Yeah, right.
Only without
Sorry.
public access.
Sorry, this is all I got to. Lobby the state to change California-specific ADA requirements as applied to cottage and Hallmark.
Yeah, Hallmark and cottage industries.
Where public access is not,
There is no public access.
with no public access.
With no public access.
Excuse me, and less than 15 employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I will report to the state with this.
But you got the no public access.
No
and
public
she-
access and less than 15 employees.
Yeah, that's the most important.
And
15?
Yeah.
Less than 15.
I wrote less than 15 minutes.
yeah.
Because you have less than 15. Does that?
Okay,
that
now
make
Corinne.
sense?
Corinne and then
also
Kim.
ask about if they know what that
There
is.
we go.
No,
Different issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to
If we're going
limit
down the
the
road
F1.
of creating parameters that are in a standalone micro business license, which, by the way, the state says are eligible wherever there is cultivation. I think it's important to stay consistent with that. So just in your wording, you can keep cottage industry, you can keep home occupation, and make micro business a third, because we want
There we
to
go.
separate it out,
Okay.
okay?
There you go.
But my devil's advocate statement is, gee, I don't want us to say and reference too much in federal legislation, because here we are illegal in the Fed's eyes
We're
for
not
growing
mentioning
and things
federal.
at all. So we don't want to state the federal code. I think
We're
that
not.
would be, good.
It's-
So as long as
That's
we
why I
don't-
read it
It's
that way.
really,
No public
it's really California not going above and beyond our base requirements. But we have a track record of always going beyond our fair state.
To be disappointed.
Yeah.
Sandy,
Yeah, Tracy.
just really quickly, do you guys know about the compassionate program? Like when you say reinstate compassion program and a supervisor's gonna say, what is that? You guys know what to say?
Well,
And we'll
I'm
have
not
these
presenting.
lovely people here.
Okay, awesome. You're just gonna defer. Got it.
Sure, they would love to
Perfect.
speak to it.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay. Right?
I think Jude might be a good one to speak to
Yes.
that.
We've already done
Yeah.
this millions of
Yeah.
times. They
Yeah.
know what it is. They know
Excellent.
what
Well,
it
I know there's new
is.
people
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I just
We'll
wanted to
remind
make sure.
them. We'll-
Okay, all right, excellent. Okay, good.
So,
That's it.
we have a little, so,
Time
we have,
touch
10
back on the
minutes ready to go, and we need to make that statement about the ordinance, zoning code, and general plan breaking up.
Yes.
General
So my
plan.
suggestion is that we direct staff to begin work on any necessary
General plan amendments.
Yes.
zoning ordinance,
Zoning code or general plan updates.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
that's still
this
number
is
5.
ordinance, so it's not ordinance,
Yeah.
zoning code, and general plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Unnecessary
definitely zoning code.
and
Yeah.
general plan
Yeah.
updates.
Particular act.
And then I think we should take the last few minutes to try and powwow with Paul and Susan about times.
One specifically to cannabis,
Talk about that one.
then the zoning code in general, and then the general plan in general, right? Is that
Well,
what I'm
the general plan is,
Like, there's gonna
big
be a
deal,
separation between
because of the
the facilities ordinance and the overall zoning.
Yes, except that the idea here is that, for example, we're borrowing terms in order to make zoning work, or uses work in certain zoning.
Right.
We're borrowing terms in the zoning code that are outdated. So processing, sitting there with scissors is not really applicable, and then that affects all kinds of
Yeah, they want to start a zoning code and general plan update.
No.
That's,
how would you put this question there if I'm talking about like an Ag 40, that you can only grow 10,000, and then the Ag 40 could possibly, and this is a general plan thing, Ag 40 can't be subdivided? Can we even bring that to the table ever?
okay, so you guys, I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
were, I wasn't here, thank
Yeah.
God, when we did the first, the
Yeah,
last general plan.
15 years.
Yeah.
It's a big process.
Big process.
But it'll bring us money in the end.
But it's also necessary. We've been avoiding these changes for a long time,
Yeah.
and we can no longer use that the excuse that we don't want to undergo these separate processes. And what I'd say is the zoning code changes are more painful than ordinance changes, but less painful than the general plan. And
That's number
that's why
one.
I want to have both tracks going, because there's stuff that can be done.
They're on two different time tracks too, because there is a timeline of when you typically do your general plan update. And I'd have to talk to
But the work
Surely we
takes a
might
long
know.
time.
Oh, it does.
So all I
That's
have
like
for the
a
statement
minimum.
is direct staff to begin work on necessary
Ugh.
zoning code and general plan updates.
Yes.
Do you want the statement mentioning that it's
To maybe separate them out, one, direct staff to zoning code updates, and then a separate bullet point, direct staff to start working on general plan updates.
things that emphasizes your desire to have them worked on, like...
Okay.
Direct. Prioritize. Direct
Yeah.
staff to begin work on necessary zoning code and general plan updates incorporating the cannabis industry.
No, the point
Incorporating
that
all aspects of the cannabis industry.
The aspect I want included is...
Timeline.
Exactly. And that there are separate timelines for each.
Right.
So what state...
So maybe,
Direct staff to begin work on necessary zoning code and general plan updates.
Including?
Independent?
No, I think it's,
You know what I'm-
yes, I do, and I think that it's,
Currently?
you know, to achieve
Money now.
changes
Yeah, but we don't have the half.
that can be accomplished
Concurrently with actual practice?
So I think the point is that they don't go concurrently in the sense that one is not holding up the other.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's what I was trying to bring it to.
Independently, that makes sense.
So, wait.
To achieve positive outcomes as soon as possible, whatever, you know.
Well, hold on, let me see if this works. Direct staff to work on any necessary zoning code and general plan updates to achieve changes that can be accomplished independently?
Or,
Expedite.
changes that can be, with, to achieve changes in a manner that does not
What does Corinne think?
delay one over the other.
Corinne, what do you think the language?
At this, go for it, Corinne.
How about we just write direct staff to begin work on any necessary zoning code and general plan updates independently?
We don't need it independently. Corinne, what do you think? Corinne gets it.
I think you wanted to say,
Oh, thank you.
integrate
That was quick, thank you very much.
cannabis-related, cannabis-related regulations.
So,
What about something like this? Prioritize general plan and zoning code updates to incorporate all aspects of the cannabis industry.
I love it.
So,
Perfect.
Yes, but then the
Andy, that
second
was
sentence,
Wait, hold on, let's get that sentence down. Sandy, that was the sentence. We can add to it, but let's get that sentence.
Prioritize general plan and zoning code updates incorporating all aspects,
sorry, prioritize general plan and zoning code updates.
incorporating all aspects of the cannabis industry.
and then I would suggest that the second sentence say,
Thank you.
do not delay.
I don't think we should say do
But
not.
just, can I just get this out, and then you could rephrase it? Do not delay zoning code changes, or do not hold back zoning code changes, do not wait to deal with zoning code changes until the general plan update. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, is that there are small changes in the zoning code that can be made without affecting the general plan that we can work on before we have to wait for the
So then the
general plan.
priority is changes that don't affect the general plan.
Yes. So there's two, so then we would break it up into two bullet
Address
points
zoning code changes immediately.
that do not affect the general plan.
Right, 'cause, right. Just leave general plan out of it because everyone gets scared.
But I have a question for staff.
I would do two. I would do two.
Is it for me, or can she answer?
She can answer,
Okay,
I'm sure.
So,
What do you
Dandy.
think the board is going to pay for first? CEQA environmental review report or updating the general plan?
They're not gonna pay for it.
do the EIR.
Hey, current.
I think that the county should apply for this grant in the next 30 days to do the EIR, and I just sent Brent an email about that.
No.
You know,
So,
2 sentences.
so there are some limitations in terms of, I think, zoning code amendments in terms of how many you can do per year and all this different stuff. I think that really the biggest issue is limited time, limited money, and limited staff. Well, I think we should all prioritize it. What's most important, I almost think, to even get that far is take all of the ordinance amendment, everything that we need to do, because really what we have to do is we have to look at this over the next 1 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot. So I think we have to take, okay, we know we need zoning code amendments, we know we need general plan amendments,
Yeah.
we know we need to fix the cultivation ordinance, we know we need to do phase 3, we know we need to do facility stuff, and there's limited amount of time, money, so I think what has to happen is we have to scope it. These are everything we need to do, and we have, and figure out what needs to happen year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and multi-process, and
So then maybe
As
the
long
direction
as we're
is
allowed
analyze
to continue to operate until those codes are all updated, because you can't, otherwise you run everybody out of the county. But I have a question.
I want to be on this.
so I need to leave, so thank you all for coming. And
Thank you,
I think-
Vandy.
Thank you,
we'll
Andy.
be here for 15 more
Thank you,
Before you
Vandy.
leave, does anybody,
I think you stay.
okay, well, several people have heard Ted Williams say that we have a private party, the county has a private party who's willing to pay for the
It
EIR.
goes to that page.
There's a processing. There is talk. What we're trying to do is figure out the level of people we need and how we're going to pay for it, because frankly, we don't have the money.
I hear you, but I heard him say
Yes.
you have somebody.
Not necessarily, I wouldn't say that it's set in stone. I think that there's talk within the industry that they're willing to have that conversation with the county of how can we work together and pay for this.
No, that's not what I heard.
There's
What I've heard from the industry is, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
It was a process. The process, my assumption is, I have assumptions about that.
Right.
Julia Carrera says that she would be willing to donate money for an EIR.
Well, that's not what I'm asking. I just always been.
There is-
I
there
heard
is
him say he had some.
Dude,
Yeah,
there was
it's a
absolutely
process or
nothing
a
that's
process.
concrete in stone, and nothing has been approved by the 5 people that need to
Okay,
approve it.
that's what I'm asking.
So there's a lot of talk right now and a lot of exploring, but nothing's set in stone, and there's been no decision by the board.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, I think that we should take a moment to get schedules together, and I say not me because I'll be gone, but I will commit to commenting on, I'm going to get an electronic copy and I'll make comments while I'm gone, but I really think it would be helpful to be able, in the time frame that's needed to get the information back to Sarah and Vandy, if we're going to incorporate Paul and Susan's hard work into the specific suggestions, as Corinne suggested, that there be some time frames here and a method of consensus, of agreement amongst us, because there won't be an official working group meeting. We need to do this outside of that parameter.
Understood. Now, on the top of the page, there is an email address to get a hold of us. If you have questions, then we'll get a hold of you, so you're not calling me when I'm in the middle of something else, or us when we're in the middle of something else.
However, if you need a phone number, I'd like to give everyone a phone number, because sometimes that's just how it works. You need a phone number, 415-902-8120.
All right, but there's a disconnect here between this, which is huge and very detailed, and this, where we need a general statement that we agree on, and we can back it up with some testimony that is much less than this.
Perhaps what makes sense is for everyone to read this. It's not that lengthy. The legislative part is not included. And we can, let's cherry pick.
And what I'd like to do is to let you know that this here is now what we're looking at interest in. This unties the hands. This is different from the ordinance, okay?
Right.
And the Board of Supervisors has been saying that the state has tied their hands. They can't do that. They can't do this. This allows them to do this. And as a pilot program for Mendocino County, we need the support of those 5 people, along with the rest of the working groups and the people that are the small farmers, give that support to them so that the legislature hears it loud and clear that this county is willing and wants to do this, so that we can take it from there to other counties that want to adopt it.
Who specifically recommended that there be a pilot program to test this bill?
The senator that we were talking with,
Who was that?
Senator Galgiani.
Oh, Galgiani?
But the problem is that she's from down around Bakersfield, and so that it would raise some eyebrows because it's not even her district. But that's
Can
why
I make a recommendation? Couldn't we include a bullet point that says any pilot programs the state comes up with, this board should look at getting involved with? Maybe some more articulate.
they're not that common.
They're going to be. We want to watch. Exactly.
Well, let's start with this.
Corinne, it's just because we're going to run out of time and people are going to have to leave for the other meetings. So if we're looking at our calendars right now, let's make 3 commitment dates. It can be over the phone, it can be email, all right? You don't need to meet in person.
Okay, phone contact.
The first one is, in as timely a manner as possible, let's read the document, let's generate our own, say, dozen or a bullet point, as well as a simple overriding statement. When can we share that with each other?
Can I have a preliminary question? Is everybody familiar with using Google Docs? Because then it's a live document, and if you're using suggested edits, then you're not changing the language of somebody else without it just being a suggestion, and it's live, so as each of us have comments in this new bullet point thing, we can all be...
How many people here have Google Docs?
I don't have,
I hate it, but I
hate it
have
too.
it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there may be fewer, it's a small enough group that we can just sort of communicate. I know what you're saying logistically, but it's a small enough group. So let's look at our calendar right now. When can we commit to sharing our 12 bullet points and our opening, umbrella statement?
Okay. There's a calendar over here. Do you need one?
Oh, you can read that one?
I got my contacts in.
So what does everybody think about the week of the 12th?
I think we should do it before that.
Okay.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Because it tends to take more time to get it to the finish line.
So how about by Friday the 9th, we can shoot everybody or call everybody, like, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? So Friday the 9th,
which is a week from Friday.
Thank you. Let's plan on everybody communicating with each other. Maybe you only have 4 bullet points. Maybe you can't think of an overarching statement. That's cool. So then if we look at the next week, 16th then becomes, like you were saying, it takes a while to winnow it down.
This is when does the length, or is this separate
29.
from this?
29.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Could we
Going with it.
do that next step by the 16th? What do you think? All right, so that's step 2, which means
9th to 16th.
Friday the 23rd, we have that ready to go because that gives us a little wiggle room.
Right.
Because
And that's
Sarah
when that
needs
comes
it.
into this.
Sarah needs it by the
Before Labor
29th.
Day.
Yes.
And the Labor Day weekend.
I just want to make a caveat that I am going to strive to participate, but I'll be on my vacation on a 9-hour time difference, so...
We understand.
It'll be okay.
We'll all do our best.
Yeah.
We've all got stuff.
It'll be okay.
So again, our dates are the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd as a 3-step process.
Perfect.
And if I could,
Thank you, Susan.
put in just a little focus on what the county controls. You don't want us regulating things we don't have to regulate.
Right.
So there's stuff that, let the state do it. So really focus on what's in the control of the county, because we don't want to regulate more than what we absolutely have to regulate, and I don't think you want that either.
No.
Understood, but that's why when Julia asked, does that relate to this? No, it doesn't, but what we're trying to do is to get them to support this so that it...
Yes, it does, because this is the working group
I
recommendation.
understand.
What has to be
These
within.
particular meetings we were talking about on the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd are about this specific. The rest of it is that. Then on the 23rd, we bring this into it.
Right.
Okay?
But it's part of the working recommendations.
Right.
But this looks like chaos to me. If we're not using Google Docs, everybody's going to send everybody...
Use it. It's okay.
It's going to synthesize.
It's going to, I don't know.
Well, you know what? Take out all your adjectives. Don't use your thesaurus.
Okay.
Make it like a Raymond Carver short story, right? very few words.
Could you guys please opine on if indeed you had complete free sailing through the legislative process with sponsorship next session, when it would come before chamber votes, if it were just going through?
Introduced next year before February 22nd, and it would not be, if it was signed by the governor, it wouldn't be enacted until 2021. Or 2021.
Right. And it wouldn't be heard for votes, and that's if it goes through.
If it survives.
That's what I'm wondering.
If it survives, and then going through committees,
who knows?
Every bill is that way.
I know, but that's what I was saying. In the best possible scenario, it would probably be
January 1st, 2021, best case scenario.
best case. That's pretty optimistic, but
There's
that's
no way to
best
make
case.
it an emergency bill? I mean, I can't.
Doubt it. I don't think they're gonna do emergency bills anymore. Cannabis.
This is, so you're gonna take all these point things that people are gonna throw at you and condense them, sift them, and put them into a synthesized.
Correct.
And then we'll share it all together for that next meeting.
We'll review it again.
Okay, Kelly.